Hello everyone, welcome to Move Well, Live Well. We get a number of people coming in here with issues regarding their back. And in particular, what's going on with these folks is they're having problems with their disc. And they're either coming in with a disc bulge or a disc herniation. They've been diagnosed with that particular condition via MRI. And by the way, just a little bit of a tidbit. If somebody's telling you that you have a bulging disc or a herniated disc without an MRI, you can't, because the only way to see a disc and to diagnose it, whether or not it's a bulging disc or a herniated disc, is to get an MRI. If somebody's telling you, oh, my disc is herniated or my disc is bulging, and the person that told you that didn't get an MRI, it may or may not even be a bulging disc or a herniated disc. So, just a little bit of a tidbit there. Anyway, in this particular video, what I want to do here is how do you treat these things? How do you treat a bulging disc or a herniated disc? And if you haven't watched it already, there is a video that we just put out. It's called The Difference Between a Bulging Disc and a Herniated Disc. So go to that particular video and learn a little bit more about what is a bulging disc and a herniated disc. But anyway, essentially, what a bulging disc is you have these intervertebral discs in between the vertebra here, the bones in your spine. And inside, this is the outside part is the annulus fibrosus. And inside is the nucleus pulposus. It's kind of like almost the analogy we like to use is like a jelly donut in a way. So what happens with a bulging disc, the nucleus pulposus, the inside part of the disc, starts to push outward. The inside fibers start to rip apart, and it starts to push outward, and it bulges the disc out in the area in which it's pushing outward toward. So I'm going to show you a thing that you can do if you have a bulging disc or even a herniated disc where it starts to protrude outward, where the outer fibers, in this one right here, the outer fibers have broken all the way through now, and it's starting to push outward, and it can start irritating that nerve. Well, this is something that you can do. There's actually 3 things that you can do. One of them, you want to start opening this up here. So you want to free this space. So the first thing you want to do is you want to decompress the spine. So you're going to take the pressure and you want to decompress. If this is imagine this is a jelly donut and the stuff's starting to come out, you want to decompress the disc. So how do you do that at home? Well, you can do this in a door jamb. A pull-up bar would be the ideal, but you can do it in a door jamb as well. So what you do is you want to be here in a pull-up bar or in a door jamb. You can be in here. I usually recommend folks keeping their feet on the ground as they do this. And all you're doing is allowing yourself to sit down. I'm going to do it this side view here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. You're allowing yourself to sit down into this stretch, right? And I'm using my feet. I'm not taking all the way the pressure. I'm not just sitting there hanging like this. I'm allowing my feet to give me, you see that? I'm allowing my feet to give me some support, but I want to be able to lengthen my spine to decompress this part. See, imagine this as this starts to stretch open. Imagine this getting more space in through here. See, there's a little hole right here, the intervertebral foramen, the little hole in which the nerve comes out. We want to make that hole bigger. So how do we do that? We open this up here. And so by hanging like this, it allows that space to open up and take pressure off that disc. Again, you're going to sit down into it, and you're going to use your legs for a little bit of support. So you're not sitting there hanging with all your weight on your hands. Does that make sense? And you're going to hang here 30 seconds to a minute. Just kind of in here. All right? Help open up that space. Okay? Now, some of the people that come in here with symptoms of a bulging disc or a herniated disc, and they have maybe pain going down in their back, kind of goes in their butt, even down the back of the hamstring, to the calf, even to the feet, and even experiencing some types of weakness, that type of thing. Because remember, if this nerve gets irritated, it can push, and wherever that nerve's going, you're going to have problems. So the idea with this next exercise, for instance, if they're coming in here and if they have right side problems, they usually come in here with like this. They're leaning away from the side that hurts. So if this is my right side and I hurt here, I have a problem with this disc because it's pushing. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's do the left side because that's the model. So if I'm leaning away from the pain, typically this nerve going down my left is painful. My left butt hurts, my hamstring, my calf, and I'm leaning away from the pain like this. So what you do, a great exercise to help alleviate this is you can stay in this position like this. So what you do is you lean up against a wall or a door jamb or a post. And if I'm leaning, I'm exaggerating here, but if I'm leaning away from the pain, I can kind of lean up against the wall. My feet aren't up against the wall. You kind of see that? I'm leaning against the wall here like this, and I'm going to put my hand on my side here, and I'm going to kind of slowly move my hips, guiding it with my hand toward the side of involvement. See that? Huh? You do that 10 to 15 repetitions. Do that about three sets of this. See that? Back and forth, nice and deliberate. Can you see that movement in there? Right there, good. See that? You're just pushing in toward that side. And the idea is, if the nucleus pulposus is bulging out this left side, see? You see that? It's bulging out this left side, it's irritating this nerve. We want to get the stuff inside to move back to the center a little bit. So if I continually do it this way, this stuff will continually want to go that way. See, if I bend this way, it'll continually push out that way. But it's kind of counterintuitive because, oh, I hurt here, so I'm leaning away from there because it's pushing on that nerve. But what I want to do is I want to bend this way to bring that stuff back that way. Does that make sense? So if this starts to protrude this way, we want to go this way to bring it back down that way. So again, if I'm leaning away from the pain, the left side, I'm going to lean into the wall like that as a support, and I'm going to gently, deliberately move it toward the side of involvement. Does that make sense? You can see my upper body stays relatively stable, and really the only thing I'm moving here is my hip. And you can even feel a stretch in the low back. It feels pretty good. So there's that. So that's if you have that pain down the leg and stuff. If you got pain down the leg and those types of symptoms, that's what you want to do first. So the first part is you want to open up that space between the discs, decompress that disc first, and then if you're leaning away from the pain like that, if you can't walk without issues doing it on the leg, you want to do that exercise. If you're not leaning away from the pain, you just have a general back pain, you've been diagnosed with a bulging disc or a herniated disc, then you can go right into the next exercise, which is a cobra stretch or Mackenzie exercise. And the idea of this is that as this starts to bulge out a little bit or herniates outward, if it's not pushing on the nerve and it's not giving you that irritation or whatever, it's just kind of giving you general back pain, what you want to do, again, the idea is you want to bring this disc material inside, you want to bring it toward the center. So by extending the spine, because if you look on this model, typically it wants to go out toward the back. So if you did this, so this is the back part of the spine, this is the front part of the spine. If you did more flexion, see, your back gets tight, and the idea is to do this because it feels good, right? But what happens, that disc material will want to push out more toward the back. It's kind of counterintuitive. So by doing this, you're making it worse. If you're bending the knees, if you're twisting like that or whatever, it can make it worse. So the idea is you want to extend. You want to go into extension Cobra stretch is great for that, to try to bring this material back toward the center, like this. So, how do you do a Cobra? So, you go on the floor like this. The idea here, I like to tell people when they're down in this position here, you prop yourself up with your elbows. And the idea here is you want to, if you can kind of see my butt here, you're going to contract the butt. So you're going to contract the butt. That way it helps stabilize that particular area. And then you're going to slowly press up as your butt's contracted. And you don't want to lift all the way up. You're trying to keep your hips, the front of your hips, on the ground.
Baby cobra.
And here. So this is kind of like a cobra.
Baby cobra.
There, just like this. What's that?
Baby cobra.
Baby cobra is what Dr. K is saying. Dr. K is calling it a baby cobra. So you're in here. A lot of people, have this tendency as they come all the way up, and you can kind of see my hips coming off the ground. And the idea is to extend the spine, not to come all the way up off the ground. And now I'm mostly on my quads and knees. So essentially, you're doing this. You're trying to, again, if you go into flexion, as I bend forward here, you can kind of see, if I bend forward here, this material will go backwards more. But if I extend, I'm trying to open up the front so that this stuff can go back forward. If I open up the front of this by going to extension, I'm opening up the front part of the vertebra, and then it gives more room in the front, and the stuff can go back forward. Does that make sense? Okay. So, same thing. So we're going to do about 10, 15 reps, just gentle, keeping the hips on the ground, squeezing the butt, pressing up. Three sets of 10 to 15 reps. Do that. So, again, there's another video that goes into more depth and describes the differences between a disc bulge and a disc herniation. And we just went through again. Number one would be to hang to decompress the nerve and open up that space for the disc to hang out in. Decompress that. And then if you're leaning to one side, the side on which you're leaning to, you want to lean up against the wall there, and you're pushing the opposite way. Does that make sense? You're pushing toward. If I pain down here, I'm going to push toward the uninvolved side. Because the involved side is the side I hurt. I'm leaning away from the side that hurts. Lean there, push toward. See that? If you don't have a lean and you've just been diagnosed with a disc bulge or disc herniation, but your back's really, really sore, try not to do the flexion type of stretches. You want to do the extension type stretches, like we just showed you with, as Dr. K so noted, the baby cobra stretch. Keeping those hips on the ground, squeezing the butt, and keeping the hips on the ground, just like that. Again, if you have any questions with this video, drop them off in the comment section below. We thank you for watching, we appreciate it. And give this video a thumbs up. It lets us know you care. And go ahead and hit like, and also subscribe. And when you hit subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notifications button. It helps keep you in the loop as to what's going on here at River Valley Chiropractic, and also some future videos that we'll be dropping off here, so that way you continue to move well and live well. Also, share this with others so that way they can benefit from the differences between disc bulges and disc herniations, and things that they can do to help alleviate that. Again, we thank you for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Take care.